Prabhu, would you mind if I finish with decoration flowers?
No, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Very nice. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jai Jai Advaita Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda,
Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Advaita Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So tonight it's Madhya Lila, chapter 17, text 186. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued. Dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion is not different from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as the Shastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajans advocate. This is a verse spoken by Yudhishthira Maharaj in Mahabharata. After this discussion, the Brahmin served lunch to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then all the people residing in Mathura came to see the Lord. People came by the hundreds of thousands, and no one could count them. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came out of the house to give audience to the people. When the people assembled, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu raised his arms and said very loudly, Hari Bol. The people responded to the Lord and became ecstatic. As if mad, they began to dance and to vibrate the transcendental sound, Hari. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in the 24 ghats along the banks of the Yamuna, and the Brahmin showed him all the places of pilgrimage. Purport. The 24 ghats, or bathing places along the Yamuna, are the Adimukta, Adiruddha, Guya Tirtha, Prayag Tirtha, Kanakala Tirtha, Tinduka, Surya Tirtha, Bhatta Swami, Dhruva Ghat, Rishi Tirtha, Moksha Tirtha, Bodha Tirtha, Gokarna, Krishna Ganga, Vaikuntha, Ashikund, Chatur Samudrika Kupa, Akrura Tirtha, Yagnika Viprasthana, Kujja Kupa, Rangasthala, Manchasthala, Malayudasthana, and Dasava Meda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited all the holy places on the banks of the Yamuna, including Swayambhu, Vishramghat, Dirga Vishnu, Bhutteshwara, Mahavidya, and Gokarna. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see the various forests of Vrindavan, he took the Brahmin with him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the different forests, including Madhavan, Talavan, Kumudavan, Bahulavan. Wherever he went, he took his bath with great ecstatic love. Purport. The word van means forest. Vrindavan is the name given to the forest where Srimati Vrindadevi or Tulsi Devi grows profusely. Actually, it is not a forest as we ordinarily consider a forest, because it is very thick with green vegetation. There are 12 such vanas in Vrindavan. Some are located on the western side of the Yamuna, and others are on the eastern side. The forests situated on the eastern side are Badravan, Bilavan, Lohavan, Bandiravan, and Mahavan. On the western side are Madhuvan, Talavan, Kumudavan, Bahulavan, Kamyavan, Kadiravan, and Vrindavan. These are the 12 forests of the Vrindavan area. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed through Vrindavan, herds of grazing cows saw him pass, and immediately surrounding him began to moo very loudly. Seeing the herds approach him, the Lord was stunned with ecstatic love. The cows then began to lick his body out of great affection. Becoming pacified, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to caress the cows, and the cows, being unable to give up his company, went with him. It was only with great difficulty that the cowherd men were able to keep the cows back. Then, when the Lord chanted, all the deer heard his sweet voice and approached him. When the does and bucks came and saw the Lord's face, they began to lick his body. Not being at all afraid of him, they accompanied him along the path. Bumblebees and birds, the parrot and cuckoo, all began to sing loudly on the fifth note, and the peacocks began to dance in front of the Lord. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the trees and creepers of Vrindavan became jubilant. Their twigs stood up, and they began to shed tears of ecstasy in the form of honey. The tree branches and creepers, overloaded with fruits and flowers, fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and greeted him with various presentations as if they were friends. Thus, all the moving and non-moving living entities of Vrindavan became very jubilant to see the Lord. It was as if friends were made happy by seeing another friend. Seeing their affection, the Lord was moved by ecstatic love. He began to sport with them exactly as a friend sports with his friend. Thus, he voluntarily came under the control of his friend. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to embrace each and every tree and creeper, and they began to offer their fruits and flowers as if in meditation. The Lord's body was restless, and tears, trembling, and jubilation were manifest. He said very loudly, "Chant Krishna, chant Krishna." All moving and non-moving creatures then began to vibrate the transcendental sound, Hare Krishna, as if they were echoing the deep sound of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord then clasped the necks of the deer and began to cry. There was jubilation manifest in the bodies of the deer, and tears were in their eyes. When the male and female parrot appeared on the branches of the tree, the Lord saw them and wanted to hear them speak. Both parrots flew onto the hand of the Lord and began to chant the transcendental qualities of Krishna, and the Lord listened to them. The male parrot sang, "The glorification of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beneficial to everyone in the universe. His beauty is victorious over the gopis of Vrindavan, and it subdues their patience. His pastimes astound the goddess of fortune, and his bodily strength turns Govardhan Hill into a small toy like a ball. His spotless qualities are unlimited, and his behavior satisfies everyone. Lord Krishna is attractive to everyone. Oh, may our Lord maintain the whole universe." This verse is found in Gita Govinda Lilamrita. After hearing this description of Lord Krishna from the male parrot, the female parrot began to recite a description of Srimati Radharani. The female parrot said, "Srimati Radharani's affection, her exquisite beauty and good behavior, her artistic dancing and chanting, and her poetic compositions are all so attractive that they attract the mind of Krishna, who attracts the mind of everyone in the universe." This verse is also found in Govinda Lilamrita. Thereafter, the male parrot said, "Krishna is the enchanter of the mind of Cupid." He then began to recite another verse. The male parrot then said, "My dear Sarik, female parrot, Sri Krishna carries a flute and enchants the hearts of all women throughout the universe. He is specifically the enjoyer of the beautiful gopis, and he is the enchanter of Cupid also. Let him be glorified." This verse is also found in Govinda Lilamrita. Then the female parrot began to speak jokingly to the male parrot, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was struck with wonderful ecstatic love to hear her speak. The female parrot said, "When Lord Sri Krishna is with Radharani, he is the enchanter of Cupid. Otherwise, when he is alone, he himself is enchanted by erotic feelings, even though he enchants the whole universe." Another verse from Govinda Lilamrita. Both parrots then flew onto a tree branch, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to watch the dancing of the peacocks with curiosity. When the Lord saw the bluish necks of the peacocks, he remembered his remembrance of Krishna immediately awakened, and he fell to the ground in ecstatic love. When the Brahmin saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unconscious, he and Balabhadra Bhattacharya took care of him. They hastily sprinkled water over the Lord's body. Then they took up his outer cloth and began to fan him with it. They then began to chant the holy name of Krishna into the Lord's ear. When the Lord regained consciousness, he began rolling on the ground. When the Lord rolled on the ground, sharp thorns injured his body. Taking him on his lap, Balabhadra Bhattacharya pacified him. The mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wandered in ecstatic love of Krishna. He immediately stood up and said, "Chant, chant." Then he himself began to dance. Being thus ordered by the Lord, both Balabhadra Bhattacharya and the Brahman began to chant the holy name of Krishna. Then the Lord, dancing and dancing, proceeded along the path. The Brahman was astounded to see the symptoms of ecstatic love exhibited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then became anxious to give the Lord protection. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind was absorbed in ecstatic love of Jagannath Puri. But when he passed along the road on the way to Vrindavan, that love increased 100 times. The Lord's ecstatic love increased 1,000 times when he visited Mathura, but it increased 100,000 times when he wandered in the forest of Vrindavan. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was elsewhere, the very name of Vrindavan was sufficient to increase his ecstatic love. Now, when he was actually traveling in the Vrindavan forest, his mind was absorbed in great ecstatic love day and night. He ate and bathed simply out of habit. Thus I have written a description of the ecstatic love Lord Chaitanya manifested in one of the places he visited while walking through the 12 forests of Vrindavan. To describe what he experienced everywhere would be impossible. Lord Ananta writes millions of books elaborately describing the transformations of ecstatic love experienced by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Vrindavan. Since Lord Ananta himself cannot describe even a fragment of these pastimes, I am simply pointing out the direction. The whole world became merged in the inundation of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can swim in that water to the extent that he has the strength. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus ended Bhaktivinoda purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 17, describing the Lord's traveling to Vrindavan. So the next verse, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit to Vrindavan.
What chapter is this?
This one is 18 now, going on to 18.
Oh.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled all over Vrindavan and pleased all living entities, moving and non-moving. With his glances, the Lord took much personal pleasure in seeing everyone. In this way, Lord Gauranga travelled in Vrindavan. All glories to Lord Gaurachandra, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, headed by Srivas Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in ecstasy, but when he arrived at Aritgaram, his sense perception was awakened. Purport. Aritgaram is also called Aristagram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood that in that village, Aristasura had been killed by Sri Krishna. While there, he inquired about Radhakund, but no one could tell him where it was. The Brahmin accompanying him could also not ascertain its whereabouts. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could then understand that the holy places known as Radhakund and Shamakund were at that time lost to everyone's vision. He therefore discovered Radhakund and Shamakund, which were two reservoirs of water in two paddy fields. Although there was very little water, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was omniscient and could understand that formerly these two ponds were called Sri Radhakund and Shamakund. In this way, Radhakund and Shamakund were discovered. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the local people, "Where is Radhakund?" No one could inform him, and the Brahmin accompanying him did not know either. The Lord then understood that the holy place called Radhakund was no longer visible. However, being the omniscient Supreme Personality of Godhead, he discovered Radhakund and Shamakund in two paddy fields. There was only a little water, but he took his bath there. When the people of the village saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking his bath in these two ponds in the middle of the paddy fields, they were very much astonished. The Lord then offered his prayers to Sri Radhakund. Of all the gopis, Radharani is the dearmost. Similarly, the lake known as Radhakund is very dear to the Lord because it is very dear to Srimati Radharani. Just as Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Lord Krishna, so her lake, known as Radhakund, is also very dear to him. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most beloved. This is a verse from the Padma Purana. In that lake, Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani used to sport daily in the water and have a rasa dance on the bank. Indeed, Lord Krishna gives ecstatic love like that of Srimati Radharani to whoever bathes in that lake even once in his life. The attraction of Radhakund is as sweet as that of Srimati Radharani. Similarly, the glories of the Kund or lake are as great as Srimati Radharani's. Because of its wonderful transcendental qualities, Radhakund is as dear to Krishna as Srimati Radharani. It was in that lake that the all-opulent Lord Sri Krishna performed his pastimes with Srimati Radharani with great pleasure and transcendental bliss. Whoever bathes just once in Radhakund attains Srimati Radharani's loving attraction for Sri Krishna. Who within this world can describe the glories and sweetness of Sri Radhakund? This verse is found in Govinda Lilamrita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus offered prayers to Radhakund. Overwhelmed by ecstatic love, he danced on the bank, remembering the pastimes of Lord Krishna performed on the bank of Radhakund. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then marked his body with tilak made from the mud of Radhakund, and with the help of Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he collected some of the mud and took it with him. From Radhakund, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Sumana's lake. When he saw Govardhan hill from there, he was overwhelmed with joy. When the Lord saw Govardhan hill, he immediately offered obeisances. Falling down on the ground like a rod, he embraced one piece of rock from Govardhan hill and became mad. Mad with ecstatic love, the Lord came to the village known as Govardhan. There he saw the deity named Haridev and offered his obeisances unto him. Haridev is an incarnation of Narayan. and his residence is on the western petal of the lotus of Mathura. Mad with ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to dance before the Haridev deity. Hearing of the Lord's wonderful activities, all the people came to see him. The people were astonished when they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic love and personal beauty. The priest who served the Haridev deity offered the Lord a good reception. At Brahmakund, the Bhattacharya cooked food, and the Lord, after taking his bath at Brahmakund, accepted his lunch. That night, the Lord stayed at the temple of Haridev, and during the night he began to reflect. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought, since I shall not at any time climb Govardhan hill, how shall I be able to see the Gopal Rai? Thinking in this way, the Lord remained silent, and Lord Gopal, knowing his contemplation, played a trick. Coming down from Govardhan hill, Lord Gopal granted an interview to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was unwilling to climb the hill, thinking himself a devotee of Lord Krishna. Gopal stayed in a village called Anakot Gram on Govardhan Hill. The villagers who lived in that village were mainly from Rajasthan. The village name Anakot Gram is referred to in Bhakti Ratnakara, 5th wave. Here, all the gopis and gopas enjoyed wonderful pastime with Sri Krishna. Therefore, this place is also called Aniyora. The Ankot ceremony was celebrated here. O Srinivas, whoever sees this place has all his desires fulfilled. It is also stated, look at the dense forest near the Kund. It was there that Gopal was concealed. Also, the Stava Valley Braja Vilas Stava by Raghunath Das Goswami states, when Nanda Maharaj offered a large quantity of food to Govardhan Hill, Krishna assumed the gigantic form and eagerly invited everyone to ask boons from him. Then, deceiving even Srimati Radharani, he ate all the offered food. Let me take shelter of the place known as Anakot, where Lord Krishna enjoyed these pastimes. One person who came to the village informed the inhabitants, the Turkish soldiers are now preparing to attack your village. Flee this village tonight and do not allow one person to remain. Take the deity with you and leave, for the Muslim soldiers will come tomorrow. Hearing this, all the villagers became very anxious. They first took Gopal and moved him to a village known as Gantuli. The Gopal deity was kept in the house of a Brahmin, and his worship was conducted secretly. Everyone fled, and thus the village of Ankot was deserted. Due to fear of the Muslims, the Gopal deity was moved from one place to another again and again. Thus, giving up his temple, Lord Gopal would sometimes live in a bush and sometimes in one village after another. In the morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath in a lake called Manasa Ganga. He then circumambulated Govardhan Hill. Just by seeing the Govardhan Hill, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became ecstatic with love of Krishna. While dancing, he recited the following verse. Of all the devotees, this Govardhan Hill is the best. O my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram, as well as their calves, cows, and cowherd friends, with all kinds of necessities. Water for drinking, very soft grass, calves, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respect to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Govardhan Hill appears very jubilant. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto. It was spoken by the gopis when Lord Krishna and Balaram entered the forest in the autumn. The gopis spoke among themselves and glorified Krishna and Balaram for their pastime. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then took his bath in the lake called Govindakund, and while he was there, he heard that the Gopal deity had already gone to Gantuli Gram. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the village of Gantuli Gram and saw the Lord Gopal deity. Overwhelmed by ecstatic love, he began to chant, and dance. So we'll finish there and we'll continue from text 37 on Monday evening. John. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Please.
We just read it. Chaitanya Prabhu used mud of Buddha
Yes.
for shield.
Yes.
Since that time, we used just.
Yeah, most of the devotees who live there, they use the mud from the Radhakund. It's black.
Before as well.
Yeah.
It's not just new tradition from Chaitanya.
No, it's from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He started it.
Okay.
That's why he took some of the mud with him.
Yeah, that's why.
He brought it back to Puri. And he used it even in Puri.
So we are like followers of him.
Yes.
So Prabhupada told us to use the rum, what not, and have to, or it doesn't matter which one.
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, Srila Prabhupada said us to use it because.
Lord Chaitanya used
yes,
it. No, we can also.
The wine is. What about?
I prefer the yellow tilak. And I prefer the tilak that comes from Dwarka. There's a different tilak that comes from Dwarka. It's not processed like most of the tilak the devotees use these days. This process comes in a block that's pushed together in a mold. The original tilak that actually comes from Dwarka. So when the queens of Dwarka, when Krishna left and went back to Krishna Loka, the queens also left with him, and this is their body that was left behind. The Dwarka tilak it has a little bit of black woven through it.
Like dark.
Yes, it's yellow, but it has little streaks of black, and it mixes very well with the water. It's like a rock, but when you put water in it, it's very soft.
And Krishna, he used tilak as well, but not like we use, right?
No, he doesn't put tulsi on his nose.
Yeah, we have to
He puts tulsi on his
but
feet.
he didn't use it.
No, he puts tulsi on his feet.
And what's this line?
That's
and
the
Tulsi and
it's the sign of Vishnu.
Krishna.
Yeah.
The two steps.
And in the middle is Lakshmi.
Vishnu, Lakshmi.
So we worship in the mood of Aishwarya, on reverence. We don't worship in the mood of Radha and Krishna. But eventually we will reach that stage when we go through all the purification processes. Jai.
Thank you very much.
Цветочки вам не донесут, нет?
Нет.
So, how much is left to do?
That we don't know. We finish with flowers. What else? I have no task at the moment.